Hello, guys. We are live here, and I'm gonna be showing you two very interesting videos. If you bear with me, I have two things that I wanted to share. One from Saudi Arabia, and the other one from Iran. Okay, cool. This is this one is from Saudi Arabia, and this one is from Iran. I'm just gonna wait a little bit to see if this is working. All right. Okay. There we go. Okay, let me see. Tell me if there's no audio. All right, let me show. They're both about dancing. There's two dancing. One is happening in Iran, and the other one is in Saudi Arabia. And I thought you would be interested in seeing this. 1 second. All right, let me actually share the audio as well. There we go. Okay, so this is very interesting. All right, let me translate what's happening here. All right, I'm gonna translate. All right, so this isn't the streets of Tehran. I just want to quickly share what's going on here. You see this? Okay, this is very strange. Okay, this is something I'm not used to. Okay, there is a woman here that she's so in Iran when people are wearing hijab. There's two types of hijab that I mean. This is a very simplistic explanation of what's happening. Okay, but there is a type of hijab that you often see that you simplistically associate. I mean, it's not simplistic. I just want to avoid somebody come on and say like, oh, I mean, well, this I have this experience and it's not accurate. Generally, you could fairly see who is more liberal minded and who's more conservative, as who is somewhere in between. Okay, so right now you can see this lady in white in the white hijabi outfit. This is, if you want to be simplistic about it, if you wanted to guess, if you wanted to guess, you would think that this person is probably more liberal, less religious, less probably wearing hijab against their will, something like that. Okay, more against the Islamic Republic of Iran, more higher probability that they would be against the government, more of a type of person that would be partying in the private and doing some things that more religious people would not consider to be okay. And this the right lady is a type of person that is more in line with Islam. You would assume that is a type of person that is more religious, accepts Islamic values, not only accepts the hijab, maybe thinks that the hijab should be mandatory and she loves wearing it and she feels that it's either proud against partying, against dancing. That's what you assume that this is the type of person. Ali is saying hello, Ali. All right. So the reason why this Iranian video is highlighting this is because things are changing in Iran, and there are certain things that we sometimes see that goes in line with what the polls are showing. You know what I mean? Like we shouldn't make broad conclusions just because of anecdotal evidence and things like that we see. Ayan says hi. Hi Ayan in the live chat. But again, it's very interesting to be able to show visually the changes that are happening, because what you're about to see is a woman in chador. What she's wearing is chador. It's a more conservative religious, dancing in the street. And then she does something, I think, at the very end of it, at the end of this clip, that is even more more shocking. So, more contradicts our common assumptions that we're making. Idris, hey, Idris is here, and Mir Jalal is here. Hey, guys. So sorry, I'm just, you guys post your questions if you could please in the live chat. So after I show you these two videos, I'm going to go to the questions. Oh, there we go. We have questions already. Thank you so much for the questions. I will go right to the questions as soon as I'm done showing you these videos. So please post your questions, okay? So let's watch this together. So again, just watching a Chadari woman dance next to this more liberal woman in Iran, that is already something that I'm not used to. I don't know how much Iran has changed since I left, but this is not what I expect to see. The idea of a Chadori woman just dancing in private is like, no, they don't dance in private. Dancing is bad. Dancing is like a partying. Dancing is bad for each other. The Chadari woman wouldn't do that. But this Chadari woman, she's not doing it only in private. She's doing it proudly so in public. Okay, so just watch this. Look. Wait, this is on double speed. I want to put it on normal speed. So just like, this is the type of dance that you do in Iranian parties, women doing Iranian parties in private. Guys, when I was in Iran, the non-conservative woman on the left, okay, it was I would consider it bold for her to be dancing in the streets just because it was in the streets. Okay, so I was like, oh my God, this woman is dancing in the streets. Like, that is so bold. This is how, like, I know a woman like that will probably dance in private parties and stuff like that, but to do it in the streets, I was like, oh my God, the times are changing. But for this Chadori woman on the right to also be dancing in the public, I can't explain to you how this contradicts our traditional expectations of what it is like to be in Iran, okay? Especially for someone like me who has been away for more than a decade. This is like, what is happening? Is okay, just watch her dance, okay? Look at her. Oh my God. Look at this. What is happening? I don't know. You guys cannot comprehend why this is unusual to me. Okay. So just when my jaw was dropping when I was watching this, I know some people who are in Iran are going to like get angry and be like, Armin, this is not happening. Okay, I'm telling you, as somebody who's left Iran for a decade, this is not normal for me. Okay, but then she comes to the camera, and then she says something, and I was like, okay, this is it. What the hell? Oh, what? She said, Zindabad Pahlavi. She said to the camera, Zindabad Pahlavi. Do you guys understand who knows? Like, I think some Pakistani or Indians in the live chat might understand what this means. She said Zindabad Pahlavi. I can't look, hold on one more time. And the camera holder laughed and said, like, oh my dear. Oh, no idea for the video. Hold on. Let me do this again. Thank you for letting me know. Sometimes this happens.
پهلوی بر زبان آورد.
Is there audio now?
خود را هم با عبارت زنده باد پهلوی بر زبان آورد.
Do you have audio? Okay, good. Zindabad Pahlavi. Do you hear it? Okay, so there you go. Some of you understand what Zindabad means. Zindabad means long live. And then you're asking, what is Pahlavi? Pahlavi is the Pahlavi dynasty. The Pahlavi dynasty, the monarchs, the kings before the Islamic Revolution. The dynasty, the regime that was in power before the Islamic Revolution of Iran. She's saying, long live Pahlavi, which is the pre-Islamic Revolution regime that was in Iran. Yes, Pahlavi. Look, people. The reason why they're recording this is because it's unusual. Like other people. Look at this. Oh wow, she's good at it. I can't tell. Look at that. Oh, that's so. Look, and she's dancing with this other non-conservative type-looking person.
ملاحظه می شود که
Anyways, so that's one video. So that's one. I have two dance videos for you today. Two dance videos for you today, and both of them are assigned are signs of changing times. Okay, so this was mind-blowing. The second dance video is even more mind-blowing. Okay, you thought this was extreme. You thought this is extreme. Watch the next one. Watch the next dance. Okay, so this is one dance. Now let's look at another dance. Okay, hold on.
دور از ذهن
Okay, I'm gonna get to the questions in the live chat very soon. Let me just show you one more dance video, and then we're gonna go.
می‌دانستند. اما حالا این ویدیو از رقص یک خاخام
So this is a Jewish rabbi and an Arab where
اسرائیلی در خیابان‌های ریاض با یک
in the streets of Riyadh. In the streets of Riyadh, because recently there was a plane that came, I don't know, landed in Saudi Arabia from where? Hold on, let me see.
شهروند عربستانی منتشر شده که نشان می‌دهد کار عادی سازی روابط اسرائیل با کشورهای عربی دیگر به پایان خود رسیده و با باز شدن دروازه‌های عربستان به روی اسرائیلی‌ها عملاً خاورمیانه.
So Israelis are coming to Saudi Arabia, and I think there was a recent plane that Israeli a plane that landed from Israel, an Emirati plane. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think there was an Emirati plane that went from Israel and landed in Saudi Arabia. Okay. And I don't know if this guy was on that plane, but we have rabbis dancing with the citizens of Saudi Arabia in the streets of Riyadh. Okay. And again, I know this seems unrelated to the first video, but it's not, because the reason why Israel and Saudi Arabia are getting closer to each other is because of Iran. Okay, so this dance is not disconnected from the first dance that I showed you in the streets of, I think it was in the streets of Tehran, not sure, maybe somewhere in Iran. But this one I know is in Riyadh.
وارد عصری جدید شد.
Oh yeah, Ayan is saying everyone like the stream. Guys, please like the stream. This really helps us grow. Ayan is like, what the hell?
دست.
Okay, I can't dance this. I don't know what the song is. Anyways, that was what I was, the two videos I wanted to show you guys. Did you appreciate that? These are stuff that you don't see in other places. This is the stuff that I go and hunt out for you just to show how things are changing. Anyways, I'm supposed to be answering live chat questions, so I'm gonna go to that one now. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering what do I have here, I have, look at this. This is what I fill my belly with. And this is for the garbage. All right. All right, let me see the first question. Donald McRonald are saying, would you please provide a short history of the Quran-only Muslims? What? Were they the most common Muslims? The Quranists, the Quran-only Muslims. Were they the common Muslims after Muhammad's death? Do some hadiths exist eternally in heaven along with the Quran? Thanks. No, there's no hadith in... Okay. Okay. This is a very... I don't know how much time I can spend on this. Would you please provide a short history of the Quran-only Muslims? The Quranists or the Quran-only Muslims, for people who don't know, they're Muslims who think that the only book that you need is the Quran, and that you don't need to... you don't need the hadith. It's a very bizarre fringe group of Muslims, because as you study the Quran, you would quickly understand that without context, the Quranic verses could mean many different things, especially when you recognize that the Quranic verses, the original Quranic verses, didn't have the vowels or the dots, maybe the short vowels and the dots, the dialectic marks. It's without the hadith, you could put the dots and put the dialectic marks in anywhere you want, and you could make the Quran to mean whatever you want, and you could get whatever interpretation you want out of it. Like it makes the Quran itself without the hadith makes absolutely no sense. it's a position that there's no defense for. Okay. And no, it's not. The Quran only Muslims are a recent thing. It's not a traditional thing. Okay, because in fact, the Islamic tradition has always been surrounded by the stories of Muhammad and what he did. Ever since you had Islam, you had the stories of the Quran in the context, the verses of the Quran in the context of the stories that happened. So whether it was hadith or sirah, or even not, a proto hadith, a hadith that was not yet canonized in the form that we recognize it today, the Quran itself by itself, it was never a thing that could be relied on. You did need the context at which the Quran verses were being interpreted. This is a completely modern thing, and it's an effort to reform, because many of the most ridiculous Islamic teachings come from hadith, and a lot of Muslims have recognized that. Like when they look at the hadith, it's so undefensibly embarrassing, some of the hadith. I mean, that they have spent like many hundreds of years coming up with excuses for the Quran, for like problematic verses in the Quran, but the hadith makes that astronomically more difficult. Like the nonsensical hadith that you have, it's so laughingly, like it's so stupid. Like the fact that there were monkeys stoning another monkey because she had committed adultery, the fact that I don't know, every fly has and one of its wings has a poison, and on another wing of it has the cure for that poison. So if a fly falls in your drink, make sure you dip it all the way in so that you get the cure as well as the poison. This Aisha constantly having to wipe off semen from Muhammad's clothing, and it would never stop. These, also like executions of people like me, like apostates, like the penalty for the big. All of this is like in the hadith. And it would be so exhausting in trying to reinterpret all of that, or try to come up with excuses for all of that. So there's this modern effort to just focus only on the Quran and the hadith. This is completely fringe. It doesn't, mainstream Islam does not agree with it. And we shouldn't even see it as a reform, because the Quran itself is extremely brutal and problematic. Like, this would not be a reform, because the Quran by itself is extremely problematic, right? You just have to just fight it as a religion, rather than trying to reform it. So, and no, there's no belief that there is a. Okay, so you don't have an hadith. There's no eternal hadith in heaven like the Quran, because for people who don't know, the actual Quran, the original Quran, there's a copy of it. The main copy of it has existed independent of space and time in heaven. That's the belief of Muslims. And what we have as a Quran is just a copy of it, right? There is no belief like that about the hadith. However, what is the hadith other than reflections of sayings and the actions of Muhammad, right? So you don't need an eternal copy of hadith in heaven, because you have Muhammad in heaven, right? I mean, if the Quran that we have here on earth is a reflection of the Quran in heaven, well, the hadith that we have here on earth is a reflection of Muhammad, and he's already in heaven. So yeah, what would be the point of having eternal hadith? You already have an eternal Muhammad. All right. Does that make sense? Okay, here. Ali is asking, what produces better results? Persuasion or coercion? Is that what you're trying to say? Is that, wait. Is that how is that written? Okay. But persuasion, why are you even asking me that? Works what? Okay, works better results for what? Better results for what? Okay, wait, depends on what. Are you trying to convince somebody out of their ideas or steal their money. Depends on your goal. If you're trying to steal someone's money, I don't think persuasion works. I think you need coercion. But if you're trying to convince them out of their idea, I don't think coercion works. I think you need persuasion. I mean, yeah, it depends on your goal. So you can't be like, I'm trying to steal your money. I have no way to coerce you into it. Just agree with me that your money is mine. I don't think that will have any. I don't think without the use of force, they're going to give you your money. So in that situation, if you're trying to steal something, you need coercion. Yeah. I don't advise it though. I don't advise it. It's illegal, so you should avoid doing that. I think coercion in most cases is illegal unless it's a kink. And I mean, is it coercion if the other side is enjoying it? I don't know. That's it. Actually, that's a philosophical question. Are you never mind. I think we could get flagged if I keep thinking about that. All right, let's go to the next question. Oh, I already answered this one. I think you're asking it twice. Okay, Idris. Do you think Islam would be weaker today had the Ottoman Emperor remained Caliph and the head of Turkey, like the title being viewed as empty and outdated? That's a very interesting question. Do you think Islam would be weaker today? I don't think so. No, I think it would have been stronger. It would be very similar. I mean, it wouldn't. Here's the thing: if we had a caliph, right, it wouldn't stop other sects of Islam, Sunni Islam, from growing, independent from the people who recognize the caliph. And I think that for two reasons, right? First of all, historically, when we had caliphs, there were Muslims who say that we don't recognize your caliphate and started their own caliphate. So it wouldn't stop. So even if we had a caliph, so given that with the history of Islam, I think having a caliphate wouldn't, like, if other people think like, oh, you're not, like, your authority is, you're weak and pathetic and you don't represent Islam and this is an empty, outdated, you're a shell of a former glorious thing that we used to have. I don't think that would motivate people to just be like, oh, screw it, I'm going to give up on Islam. I think like maybe people would have allegiances to a different caliphate, like that's how, or a non-caliphate related Islam, even just like we have right now. I don't think it would stop Muslims from just be like, yeah, we're just going to do our Islamic thing without recognizing a caliphate. I mean, and here's my two reasons. First one, I already said, historically that has been the case, right? We had Muslims throughout history that when we had a caliphate that didn't recognize the caliphate or made their own caliphate. Secondly, or their own sects, new religions even, right? Secondly, we see that with the Pope, right? Like we have the Catholic Church and Christianity has it. The fact that it had a lot of problems in history, and the authority of it and the legitimacy of it has been questioned and reduced, has not stopped from a constant creation of non-Catholic creation and growth of non-Catholic, growth of Christianity in other directions, right? So I think if you had the caliphate, it would just be helpful to Islam to maintain some Muslims who would want this to recognize the caliphate without stopping from other growth of Islamic sects or beliefs in other directions who don't like this caliphate, right? And it would be interesting because then Islam today would be somewhat similar to Christianity today, because we would have the Pope and the Caliph, right? And then it would be interesting if we get historically, had the Pope and the Caliph ever met? I don't think so. They never met. It would be if we still did have a caliphate and the Turkey kept it, imagine how historic of an event would have been if the Pope and the Caliph met. It would be headline news. It would be watched live on TV everywhere. That would be amazing. That would be cool. That would be interesting. However, I'm not suggesting that the caliphate was similar to the Pope. There are similarities, but there are also many very differences, right? The caliph in Islam had a more secular role than the Pope in Christianity. And by secular, I don't mean that they would be non-religious. By secular, I mean that the source of religious authority would come from the mullahs or the scholars or whatever you call them, or the mujtahids or whatever, right? I don't know. Shias and Sunnis refer to them differently, so I don't know which name to call. But the source of religious authority in Catholic dogma was the Pope, like who represents what's, or the Vatican. But in Islam, the role of the caliphate, this is something that ISIS got wrong, right? ISIS was like, oh, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is like our religious scholar leader, but the caliphate was supposed to not, be a source of spirituality or Sharia or Islamic jurisprudence. It was supposed to be, I keep this land Islamic, you mujtahids or you mullahs or you Islamic scholars, you tell us what's Islamic, and I just keep this land in the house of Islam. And I don't even have to be very Islamic, right? So there's a lot of caliphs who were very bad when it comes to following Islamic laws. Like they drank, they had a lot of sex, they did things that were Islamically not approved of. But the mujtahids were like, it's fine, we still support him because he's keeping this land Islamic, right? He's letting us do our thing. And that's what the caliph is supposed to do. The caliph is supposed to just let us do our Islamic stuff. If he's a flawed man, he's still a good caliph because he's keeping this land in the house of Islam. He's supposed to give us security. The caliph is supposed to give us security, not Islam. Okay? However, this line between the caliph and the mujtahids or the mullahs or the Islamic scholars or whatever you call them is not always been as divided as I'm suggesting here, because there are many times where it's in the caliph's better interest for the mujtahids or the scholar, I'm just going to say Islamic scholars, for the scholars to say something instead of the other thing. And a lot of these scholars were in the pocket of the caliph, so they're loyal to the caliph, and sometimes something becomes Islamic or non-Islamic because the caliph likes it to be that way, right? And sometimes some of the scholars get punished, and that's how you get the Hanafi school of thought. Because, okay, this is how the Mu'tazilites came about and then ended, right? Because of the role of the caliphs in the Islamic school of thought. And sometimes at the other end as well, the loyalty of the scholars to whether the caliph is doing something correct or not correct depends on their own interests as well. Like, is he going to recognize our school of thought or their school of thought? If he recognizes our school of thought, maybe we'll say like, oh, this hadith is that kind of is helpful to this caliph is now all of a sudden looking a lot more authentic than yesterday. Okay, so anyways, all of it's a very political and very interesting matter. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, let's see what question. Okay, here's another question from Donald McDonald. I recently stumbled upon verse 3372. Would you mind giving your interpretation, please? Thanks. Okay. Let's do it. Let's do it. Quran 3372. Wait. Is there a 3372? There should be. 72. Come on, give it to me. There we go. Share screen. Okay. What do we have here? This is the right verse, right? 33:72. Indeed, we offend the trust to the heavens and the earth and the mountains, and they declined to bear it and feared it. But man undertook bear it. Indeed, he was unjust and ignorant. I don't know. I have to look at the interpretation. I don't know what to make of this unless I read the interpretation. Okay, hold on. Quran here. I have to read the context. I have to read. Let me actually. Do you want me to guess? Because I can guess before, because based on what I used when I used to read the Quran, if I had to guess, this whole the heavens and the earth and the mountains is within the context of Arabic poetry. He makes refer like when Arabic poetry and that the Quranic scripture was written in the context that the Quranic scripture was first written. It was made in an environment where referring to nature was a way to make it more poetic or strong. When you want to refer to something that is beautiful or intricate or delicate or awe-inspiring, then you just use things in nature as a way to bring attention to how grand or beautiful or how delicate something is, right? So, and that was within these types of Quranic verses was written in an environment where that was the norm, and the Quranic verses were inspired by that, right? So this is what I'm guessing. I might be mistaken, right? So whatever it's trying to say, like for example, there's Quranic verses that used to like swear, like starts swearing, like or bringing attention to the spider or to the fountain or to the rain or to the spring or something, right? If I remember correctly. And here you can see like indeed, we offer the trust unto the heavens and the earth and the hills, and the mountains. Okay, so we're talking about something grand, something we're talking about something that is bearing it. It's so heavy on your shoulders that the mountains refused it. Right? I'm guessing right now. Guys. I am not good at interpretations. This is why I usually just go right to the tafsir and just read the tafsir, the Quranic interpretation using the context. But I'm just trying my hands at it because I'm not a very poetic person. I'm just trying to see if I can be understanding what is trying to happen here. And they declined to bear it. So even though the mountains declined to bear this burden, the humans accepted it. The man accepted it, but they were stupid for accepting it. So the mountains knew better. Okay, so I'm guessing that's what's happening. Okay. Is my caps lock on? So what I'm going to search for is Quran 32:72 and then tafsir. Okay. And then see when I put tafsir next to my search, then I could bring up oh my God. This is so much explanation. If they fulfill them, he was okay. This I would have to read. It takes a while to read this. Okay. Not because their intention was sinful, but because of their respect for their religion, or in case they would. Then Allah offered it to Adam, and he accepted it. Well, okay, so I was correct. But this is what I would do when I want to figure out an interpretation of a verse. I just search for the Quranic verse, and then I put a tafsir right next to it. And this the tafsir that I found is Tafsir ibn Khatir. So, but man bore it verily, he was unjust and ignorant. So, okay, so we're getting where the source of this tafsir is. Saying Allah offered to them the heavens and the earth and the mountains on the grounds that if they fulfilled them, He would reward them. But Allah offered them to the heavens. But what did He? This was offered. Okay, obedience. Oh, okay. Al-mana means obedience. This was offered to both of them. It was offered to Adam and they could not bear it. Then Allah says to Adam, I have offered amana or obedience to the heavens and the earth and mountains, and they could not bear it. Will you take it? He said, Oh Lord, what does it involve? He said, if you do good, you will be rewarded, and if you do evil, you will be punished. So Adam took the amana and bore it. And this is what is referred to as the ayah. Okay, so this is what's happening. So apparently, as humans, we have accepted this burden to this game that if we fail at, we'll be screwed. And we could have Adam could have refused it, just like the goddamn mountains did, right? But because they understood the consequences of not being able to fulfill that, what is being asked of them. So apparently we have entered this contract with God willingly, unlike the goddamn mountains who knew better than us. Right? And so I think I'm doing good. Yeah, okay. Apparently my interpretation was correct. Okay. But the problem with this verse is that then why do we have to play that game? Because Adam accepted that contract. Just because we're the sons of Adam, now we also have to accept the consequences of failing this game? Like, was that mountain as speaking for all mountains or for that one mountain? Okay. Now, if does Adam speak for all humans? I mean, he's not my representative. Why did he, given him accepting this contract with Allah, now if I fail at this obedience game, I have to go to hell for it? This doesn't make sense. He signed the contract. He should accept the consequences, not me. Anyways. Oh yeah, Ayan is telling everybody to like the stream. Please do it right now. Please, that would helps us a lot. Not Matthew Smith. I suspect you are Matthew Smith. You're Matthew. You're Matthew. Matthew, be honest. You're Matthew Smith. You wouldn't call yourself not Matthew Smith if you weren't Matthew Smith. Anyways, what's your number one reason that trumps all other reasons to which you had full conviction to leave Islam? Wow. Why can't you just ask me what's your number one reason for leaving Islam? Why do you have to make the question so complicated? Okay, look at this. Look at this question again. What's your number one reason that trumps all other reasons to which you had full conviction to leave Islam? Wow. Are you asking a question or reading poetry for me? Okay. Number one reason for leaving Islam, the lack of reason for Islam being true, the lack of evidence for any of the Islamic claims. Islam is a giant claim with no evidence to back it up, and that's the only reason I need, not my number one reason, and the only reason I actually need to leave Islam. I don't just accept claims unless they have something to back it up. Does that make sense? Not Matthew Smith, who is probably Matthew Smith. All right. It's very simple, guys. It's very simple. I mean, I think like a lot of ex-Muslims are not, I'm not trying to say, okay, this might come off as me saying I'm superior, okay? No, I'm not, okay? I'm just telling you my journey is different from a lot of other people's journey. A lot of other people who left Islam found some teachings in Islam that they found problematic, and they were like, hold up, okay? But this can be, I guess, actually, never mind. That's what started it for me as well, because I had some issues with Islamic teachings, mainly the idea of non-Muslims going to hell forever. So that that started my journey into saying whether Islam is true or not, but it wasn't the reason why I left Islam. Okay, so it didn't pass the sniff test. It didn't seem just, right? So maybe some unjust teachings of Islam motivated me to become a little bit skeptical about what I'm accepting. But the main reason why I eventually left Islam was not those unjust teachings, was the failure of finding any evidence for the truthfulness of these claims. Does that make sense? Of course it does, by the way. Why am I even asking? Okay. Not Matthew Smith, who's probably Matthew Smith, is adding, I think out of all religions, out of all ways of life, Islam is the religion that makes the most sense. Prove me wrong. Well, all religions make equally no sense. So I don't know what am I to prove to you. First of all, you're making a claim. I don't understand why you're asking me for proving anything. I'm not claiming anything. Islam is a claim, and I haven't seen any evidence for that claim. I don't think you understand how this whole proving thing works. Not Matthew Smith. The person who's making a claim is supposed to be doing the proving. This is called the burden of proof. The burden of proof lies in the person who's making the claim. You offer a claim, which is Islam. I'm looking at it, looking for it to see if it's backed up by anything. I see nothing to back it up, so I don't accept it. Here's the thing. I'll start accepting it as soon as there is some evidence for it, but I don't think you understand who's supposed to be doing the proving here. If you think Islam is true, you're supposed to be doing the proving, not me. So, not Matthew Smith is following up with another question, which I'm not going to go highlight right now because then I'm going to lose my spot in the questions that are coming in. I'm just going to read it, but this is going to be, I think, the last time, I'm going to move on to other topics. So, not Matthew Smith is adding, Islam, worship Allah alone without any partners and associates. Why don't you do that? Okay, I'm going to make this very simple, not Matthew Smith, okay? I'm going to make it very, very, very simple, okay? Because I don't believe in Allah. And for me to believe in Allah, I need some evidence that He exists. Okay? So why would you ask me that question? Why would I worship something that I don't think exists? It makes no sense, right? Do you agree with me that if I don't believe in Allah, it makes no sense to worship it? Anyways, I'm going to move on. I hope that was clear. I don't want to sound condescending to not Matthew Smith. I'm trying to be, like, when I say I'm making it as simple as possible, I'm not trying to be condescending or insulting, okay? I'm trying to, just because you're not used to this discussion, I'm not trying. Okay, never. I answer. I hope my answers were satisfactory. Anyways. Oh, okay. One more time. I'm going to read the last thing he said because it's kind of funny. He says, you're lying inside you. You're lying inside. I think he means I'm lying inside of myself. I know that this is true and I'm lying. Okay. You're lying inside you. You're lying. Oh, no. You need to put a dot so I know where the sentence ends. Okay. You're lying inside. Okay. There needs to be a dot there. And then says, Allah deserves to be worshipped. He exists. Okay. Well, not Matthew Smith. I think you're claiming to know what I'm thinking, and I don't think that's very Islamic. Are you Allah? Not Matthew Smith. Are you Allah? Because if you are not Allah, I don't think you could claim to know what I think. Can you read minds? If you can't read minds, and if you're not Allah, then don't tell me that you know something that I know to be false. Like even if you happen to be true what you're saying, you don't know what's going on in my mind. Okay, you are now claiming that you have knowledge of things that you cannot see. You're claiming, okay, even if Allah is true, even if Allah is real, you should be ashamed. You should ask forgiveness from Allah right now, because you're claiming knowledge of things that only Allah would know. You are stepping on his authority. Okay? Only Allahu Alam, not you. Allahu Alam, not, it doesn't say not Matthew Smith or Alam. It says Allahu Alam. Right? I am saying army through a reverse Islamic card. Yes. So did I say correctly? Allahu Alam, right? Anyways, let's go to the next question. That was fun. That was very fun. Let me see if Suha says if I said it correctly. All right. Let's go to the next question. Ayan is asking, do you think okay, yeah, Armin, you did. Yes, Soha is saying I said it correctly. Thank you, Soha. Ayan is asking, do you think Australia and Canada will give up British monarchy special status and be a totally separate nation? I mean, they're all separate nations. They are already separate nations. Oh, you mean like completely? It's all symbolic already, anyways. I think that the fact that they have like monarchy as a symbolism makes them connected in any other than the already. I mean, it wouldn't have any impact on the relationships, but I don't know exactly what you mean by separate, because separate, they're already their own distinct nations, separate from each other, and with their relationships that they already have, and I don't think those relationships would be affected with or without the monarchy. I think the question of having the monarchy in these countries is mostly a disagreement whether keeping tradition or not. It's not a political thing, because the little impact that the monarchy has on Canada and Australia makes the question of a monarchy a question of whether we should appeal to these countries' tradition or not. It has nothing to do. I mean, it has very little to do with their politics. Okay, the cost, is the tourism, is the identity of these nations and traditional stuff, valuing history. That's the question, and I think I don't know if they would ever give it up. I just know that the popularity of the monarchs is being reduced from one generation to the next, and I don't know if this lack of popularity will eventually have any impact on completely removing it or not. I think I would guess at some point I think they will all be completely removed. I think they would shrunk the tax the tax money that is dedicated to the monarch, even in the UK, is going to get lower, shrink lower and lower. I think at some point it will be abolished. I just don't know when. It could be a long time from now, but I think at some point it will be completely abolished. That would be my guess. Yeah, I mean, music guy is saying the Commonwealth nations. I think the Commonwealth nations will remain Commonwealth nations with or without the monarchs. I think the monarchs are just there for symbolism. Okay. Yeah, so I was saying please tag Secular Jihadists if you have a question. And guys, please questions, not comments, if you want me to read them. Don't tag me with a comment. Oh, you're welcome. That'll make them. I am saying in heaven, who will read the Quran in heaven? Everyone will be busy doing sins. Well, okay, so in heaven you get to drink wine and have a lot of sex with virgin angels. I mean, angel, maybe virgin. I mean, wait, would they remain virgin after you start having sex with them? Like, would they, like, are they angels that would just become virgins again? I mean, I don't know how do you define. Anyways, never mind. You get to have a lot of sex and a lot of wine and other things, but they are not sins because it's when you're in heaven, they're allowed by Allah. These things are allowed by Allah. So technically, they wouldn't fit the definition of a sin, because for something to be a sin, they would have to be prohibited by Allah. Okay? So just because they were prohibited here on earth doesn't make it a sin for you to do it in heaven. So there's that. Also, unfortunately, we were told, I don't know if this is in the Quran or not, but we were told that there would be a lot of worshiping of Allah going around in heaven, which sounds incredibly boring thing to do for eternity. However, we were told that we would enjoy it so much because we would not, once you understand, in heaven, you would understand the glory of Allah a lot more than you understand it here on earth. You will never understand it fully because you are, as a human, even in heaven, you will never be able to comprehend the full greatness of Allah. Nobody will. We were told that mountains turn into dust by just being exposed to just a small fraction of the greatness of Allah, right? Like entire stars would explode if God would just give them, and I said, okay, just God, if Allah just showed an entire galaxy, like, and his nipple, just his nipple, the entire galaxy would just go boom, okay, just like that, right? So obviously, we're not going to be exposed to the full glory of Allah in heaven, but we will be exposed to it way more than we are here on earth, and that way, we will be desperate to worship Allah. We wouldn't find. I don't even know why we have virgins in heaven, given how often we would be coming just from worshiping Allah, right? There would be virgins, like there would be 70 virgins come say like, "Hey, can I come suck you off, please, please?" And I'm like, "No, I'm having orgasms just worshiping Allah. Leave me alone." Like the 72 virgins are just like useless, right? Like from the joy that you're gonna get. Like there would be people offering you wine, like, you want sex, you want wine. You're like, why would I waste my time with that? Like, look, do you see? I'm constantly coming just from worshiping Allah. Anyways, sounds very, gay, but in heaven, there's no such thing as straight or gay or anything like that. And also, Allah is like not really a guy, so I think, I mean, yeah, so I don't know if it's gay. All right, let's continue. DTR saying, review the Japanese. Okay, this is a comment, not a question. So I already highlighted it, so I'm going to read it, but I'm not going to highlight this again. If I notice it's not a question, I'm not going to highlight it. Review the Japanese cult Happy Science. The founder thinks of himself as a reincarnation of Buddha, Jesus, Moses, etc. The anime about their doctrine, Satan is evil, alien, cat, alien. Okay, if I remember, I might take a look and maybe, I don't know, if I remember. Okay, here. If God were to engage in a number of iterations of the trolley problem, would we be able to recognize the pattern and determine whether he was a utilitarian or not? I mean, if anybody did that, you would be able to determine if they were a utilitarian or not. Yeah. I mean, why would it be different for God than anyone else? Anybody, if you keep giving different moral questions to somebody and see how they answer, at some point you will be able to determine their moral philosophy. So I don't think that's going to be any different from God. The only difference from God is going to be that compared to other people is that God's answers will be consistent with a specific moral philosophy. And I think if you ask humans, eventually you're going to see their answers contradicts their philosophy at some point, and they contradict their own answers into questions will be contradictory to each other. So I think that's would be, you would be able to, like, if you look at a human answering moral questions, at some point you realize that there's no consistent moral philosophy that is going to make any sense of this. You're going to realize that at some point it's more emotional urges and feelings that we have, even among the most rational one of us, even among the most rational one of us who think that we have a very consistent and not contradictory moral philosophy, even we eventually will answer in a way that will be contradictory to some other answers we gave before. And other people that haven't thought about moral philosophy will even be more contradictory, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because our moral intuitions. Okay, so we have moral philosophy, which is supposed to be consistent, and we have moral intuitions, which is a product of our evolutionary biology, and it's supposed to. It's there. Our moral intuitions, rather than moral philosophies, were meant to keep our tribe surviving. This is why our moral intuitions do not fit with any moral philosophy, because moral philosophies are looking at the civilized world and a global community of people and trying to recognize what moral philosophy is going to make this global community of 8 billion people function the best. Okay, our moral intuitions are answering a completely different question. Our moral intuitions are like, how could we keep this tribe from going extinct? Right? So given that moral intuitions, our emotions are run by our moral intuitions, and nobody, no matter how logical, it's not going to be robotic enough to be able to completely reject all our emotions. At some point we will have contradictory answers to moral philosophical questions, and I think a god will be more like a robot. A god would be more like a robot because a god will not be contradicting himself, and given that a god cannot be contradicting himself, just like a robot, a god will not have free will. I mean, technically we don't either, but any god that is forced by logic to answer the questions in a certain way is a god that has no free will. Anyways. Fawad Ali saying, why are so many Persians living in the US non-religious? Two reasons. One, because if you're non-religious, you are more likely to want to leave Iran. Right? Right? And that's reason number one. Actually, three reasons. Reason number two is that if you can afford to leave Iran, you're probably upper class. You're more likely to be not probably, you're more likely to be upper class. And being upper class has a negative correlation to religiosity. Wow, I said that without having a tongue twisting. Okay, never mind. And third, leaving Iran and being exposed to non-Islamic ways of thought, it has, even if you had some Islamic thoughts, some Islamic beliefs, a lot of people who live in Iran or to go live in the United States or Canada or somewhere in Europe are already non-religious, but some of them who are religious might lose. Guys, I'm not like generalizing. I'm very careful to use the words like a lot, might. Okay, so don't go be like, oh, I found an example that contradicts what you're saying. I'm using words carefully, so I'm not generalizing. Okay, And even many people who leave Iran who might still have religious views, Islamic views, given if they get exposed to ideas that are non-Islamic, they will become influenced by it. So I think there's 3 different reasons for that. Does that make sense? Yeah, again, I don't know why I keep asking why it doesn't make sense. I'm talking, so obviously it makes sense. Oh, thank you, Soha. Boosting my ego. Oh, what the hell? It made a jump. Ah, no. It made a jump. Okay, found it. Found it. Okay, there we go. Muhammad Ali is asking, could you please share your thoughts on whether can Islam be in whether is I think you're saying whether Islam can be interpreted as per modern times or it will remain rigid. Hey God. I have made a video about reforming Islam. I will just say that right now is my answer to this is not whether or not Islam could be reformed or could not be reformed. My concern is that Islam should not be reformed. Islam should be abandoned because Islam is wrong. Islam is based on false beliefs, and we don't want people to have better conclusions based on wrong premises. Okay, we want people to have better premises. The foundation is wrong. You're planting seeds on corrupted land, and you're hoping that you on toxic land. Okay, you have toxic land, and you're putting seeds on it, and you get something that is problematic. And sometimes something good comes out, and you don't understand that those examples does not. It's rotten to the core. Okay, the problem with Islam is not that sometimes we might be able to interpret it and get some horrible, barbaric, violent conclusions out of it. But sometimes if we interpret it this way, we might get some good conclusions out of it. That is not the issue. The issue is the foundation. The foundation is based on premises that makes you believe in nonsense. You are trying to come up with good conclusions based on nonsensical and wrong views about our identity, about nature, and about the existence as a whole, about afterlife. The mere concept of having an afterlife will make all calculations, all utilitarian calculations of what benefits the human race and everything else better off, puts all of that out, makes a whole mess of all of that. Okay? Can you have an Islam without the belief in afterlife? Can you have an Islam without the belief in God? Can you have an Islam without the belief in revelation, in faith, in prophets, in angels? If you can, then is that even Islam anymore? Okay? But if you can't, then it will always be problematic. You believe in nonsense. You believe in nonsense, and if you have a foundation of nonsense, you will get dangerous, problematic conclusions out of that. You have to tackle the whole thing at the very core rather than trying to manipulate people and do gymnastic arguments to get better conclusions out of that. Okay? We want to encourage people to believe in the truth rather than having belief in false things and then try to manipulate those false beliefs to get the conclusions that we like and we think is peaceful. Because even if you manage to convince them in a short period to lie to them about what the Quran tells them, about what the hadith tells them, for a few of them to have some maybe less problematic beliefs, have less problematic interpretations, that is a short-term return, a lot of investment for a very short-term return. You haven't addressed the main cause. You basically you have a poison tree that is giving you poisonous fruits, and you keep cutting out the fruits instead of unrooting the entire tree. Okay, you go for religion. It's not Islam. Okay, it's religion as a whole. It's false belief as a whole. Dogma is the problem. Superstition is the problem. Islam is not even the problem. It's the whole It's the whole belief in nonsensical claims without evidence. Okay, what you need to do is, instead of convincing people that, hey, maybe read the Quran this way, maybe read the Quran that way, instead of doing all that dance, you have to teach people to have critical thinking skills. You have to promote skepticism. Okay, you have to convince people that it's possible that they're wrong. Just the mere possibility of that, it's a win. Okay, just considering the mere possibility of them, that maybe, you don't even have to convince them out of Islam. Just maybe, just convince them that maybe, just maybe, all of this is nonsense. Okay, that's what you need to do. Okay, don't waste your time reforming Islam. Anyways. When people randomly start dancing in the streets, I usually think they have issues. How about you? I think they're happy and they're enjoying their happiness. What's your problem? Why are you such a why you don't you sound like somebody that is not fun at any parties. You see people enjoying themselves and dancing in the streets, and you think that they have a problem? Maybe okay, I suggest that consider that maybe it's you who has the problem here, that it can't comprehend that maybe people are just happy and they want to celebrate their happiness. Okay, so maybe you're the issue. Okay. No wonder why you're an ethno-nationalist, by the way, I just noticed. Okay, Pashtun ethno-nationalist, you are just anti-fun and anti-happiness, which is basically another word for being an ethno-nationalist. Anyways, but yeah, what's wrong? Okay, you have issues, Pashtun ethno-nationalist. Okay, I think you, if you look at people having fun and you're like, I see a problem. Okay, maybe look in the mirror. But anyways, that sounded mean. Okay, but I don't care. I mean, I do care. I hope you're not. I hope I didn't hurt your feelings. Okay, just consider that maybe they're not the issue. Oh, here's it. Did you know some Quranists refer to people who believe in hadith as hadithers and not as Muslims? I did not know that. I did not expect to learn something interesting from an ethno-nationalist. I don't know if this is true, but if it is true, thank you for that information. That's very interesting. I've never heard of hadiths before. Are you making this up? Are you making this up? Are you making this up? I think you might be making this up. You are making this up. I just searched for hadithers on Google, and there's not a single mention of it ever. You're making this up. You're just trying to make me okay. He's making it up. This nowhere ever has ever mentioned the word hadither anywhere on Google. Sorry, I searched on Google. I put like hadither here. Look at this. Look. Hadither. Nothing. Did you mean? Oh, wait. No, you're right. Oh, never mind. I think, no, you're right. Sorry. My bad. You're right. I take it back. I think I thought I saw this like, did you mean? I thought it means that there's no hadithers. But no, you're right. There's 34,000 mention of it. Okay, I completely take it back. Passion ethno-nationalist, you were correct. I take everything, all my rant that I just had, just ignore all that. Pretend that it didn't happen. You were correct. Just erase that from your memory. Okay, Passion ethno-nationalist is saying, why did Ottoman Empire legalize homosexuality long before the West in 1858? I did not know that. Is this true? Okay. I did not know that. I'm learning this from you. Pass. And so, given that I did not know that, okay, I'm gonna check this later. Okay, I don't know if this is true. Given that last time I said what you're saying is not true, I was incorrect. I'm not gonna accuse you of lying right now, but I have to check this later. I have no idea why if that is true, but if it is, I would have to go look it up. You're giving me some interesting things to look up. Thank you. Sorry about that. Anyways, Muslims are the only people that accept no. Wait, let me see if I can even read this. Okay, this is incorrect. Okay, Donald McDonald is saying Muslims are the only people that accept 50-year-old Muhammad and 9-year-old Aisha. The other 7 billion of us are intuitively disgusted. Do you think Muslims will eventually drop the young age hadiths? Well, they will, because there will be one day Muslims will drop Islam as a whole. Like Islam as a whole will end. But I reject your premise. Okay, I reject your premise that it's only the Muslims who have such beliefs. Okay, let me see. I think Hinduism has this and worse. Okay, so you guys know the Hindu god. I'm trying to find out how old it was. She was. Okay, so you guys know that Brahma, the Hindu god Brahma with the 3 heads. Okay, one of the main 3 the Hindu gods. The main 3 right now, it used to be a bit different. Ignite and Indra used to be the main gods. Now the main Hindu gods are Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahma. Brahma being the least worshipped one. Brahma has only one temple in his for his worship. Shiva, I think, is the number 1, and then I think number 2 would be Vishnu. But Brahma, being one of the 3 main gods in Hinduism, current main 3 gods in Hinduism, he was attracted to his own daughter. Okay, and his daughter was very disgusted by this. And also, Brahma used to have 5 heads. Now he has 4 heads, but he has 5 heads because Shiva cut off one of his heads because of how disgusting he was being towards his own daughter. Okay, but eventually he married his daughter. I'm trying to find out what the age was. Do you guys, anybody knows what the age was? At what age did Brahma marry his daughter? I can't find the age, but it was pretty young. I mean, this is worse than what Muhammad did. I mean, this is underage marriage, but Muhammad did underage marriage, but this is also underage marriage plus your daughter, and plus your daughter that is not welcoming. And even another god realized that this is disgusting. And also in Islam, the prophet is doing this. In Hinduism, it's a god doing this. Okay, I can't find the age. Anybody knows the age? Okay, I can't find the age, so I might look into this. But she was underage. So yeah, Hinduism, guys, Hindu scripture is horrific. Like I think it's pretty competitive. The more I look into it, the more I realize that it's actually pretty competitive with Islam when it comes to how horrific it is. The only defense that Hinduism has is that Hindus take their scripture way less seriously. Oh yeah, somebody's pointing out that the ages can't be less than 100 years because gods live forever. Yeah, but these things were happening at the beginning of their creation. Anyways, I'm not going to look at the age. It was his daughter, though. Muhammad Ali saying, could you please share your thoughts on whether... Oh, I already read this one. I ranted about that one. Can you do blasphemy in heaven? No. Okay, so... No, you would physically be impossible for you to blaspheme in heaven, because in heaven you would be exposed to a lot more the glory of God and the greatness of Allah compared to what you are in I mean, your knees will bend automatically. You would have no choice but to praise Allah. You can't do anything other than praise Allah because nothing else will make sense to you. So no, you would not be able to pray to blaspheme Allah. Oh yeah, and Soha is also clarifying that wine is in heaven is not alcoholic, so basically is juice or vinegar. Okay, so I think I know Islamic teaching on this more than you. It's true that it's not alcohol, the wine in heaven, but it's not like juice or vinegar because it still does give you a sense of drunkenness. And apparently the most beautiful sense of drunkenness, like you will go into this, like it's the best thing you ever had. Like you will still get drunk from it. It's the best drunk that you could ever get. Like that's what it is. So it's not alcohol, but it's still more like wine than juice, given that you get drunk from it. I don't know what they put in there though that makes you drunk. Basically, this wine, like a lot of people say, the drunkenness that you get from the wine is kind of like a spiritual drunkenness. It's like this whole spiritual, like I don't know, you feel like this trance. I don't know. And a lot of Sufis have fun with this whole wine thing. A lot of times, Sufis and in their poetry, they use wine as a way to metaphorically talk about going on a trance and getting enlightened and seeing things. And they talk about their beloved and Allah interchangeably. When they talk about love, you can't tell if they're talking about a woman, a boy, or Allah, and that's on purpose. Music guy saying, Armin, Iran has just got fresh new sanctions from the US. I saw that. And Biden has promised retaliation from the recent Iran drone attacks. I saw that as well. Do you think Iran will now fully pull out of the, I think you want to say the deal, the nuclear deal? Okay, honestly, I don't know what's going to happen. It's so chaotic. The nuclear deal. I need to dedicate an entire stream to this. They are right now. It seems like the goal Iran has is to just delay the talks so much. Like they're like, okay, we're going to come into the deals. We're going to come to the deals, but then not. Like, okay, we're going to announce next week that when we're going to start talking again. Okay. And then also let's do some attacks over here so that Biden's hands are forced to retaliate so that we could have an excuse to not move forward with the deal. Because I think they want to be in this. This is my guess. Okay. I think the current Iranian government wants to remain in this limbo of like, are we going to do the deal? Are we not going to do the deal? Because the later we move forward with this, with people sitting at a table, the closer Iran is going to be to a position of enriching uranium and making, missiles and stuff that it's not going to let go, that it's going to sit at a table with a higher negotiating power. So here's the thing. I think the game theory from the Iranian government is like this. Either we're going to have a deal or we're not going to have a deal. Okay? If we have a deal, the longer we delay it, the longer we play games with the United States, the better position we're going to be at sitting at the table, because we are at such a high level of enriching uranium and we have so much more technology and we have so much stockpiles of uranium that we have more leverage to negotiate with. Okay. Or the deal is not going to go through. Okay. And if it's not going to go through, we're already so ahead with getting to the goals that we want, that we had, like we're at the launch, at like we're under such a good position to now launch forward fast to doing all the things we want to do without the deal. Either way, it's better to play the stance with the United States. That's what I think they're thinking. Okay. Which I have to use this opportunity to remind you, everybody, that we're in this horrible situation because of the disaster that was the Trump presidency, and this is what we're dealing with. Okay, so Iran's position, the Islamic Republic of Iran's position, is now a lot more chaotic and a much bigger mess, and they're at a more dangerous position that they have ever been, and a lot more hassle to deal with because of Trump's presidency and his administration. Okay, none of the things that he did, this whole goals of maximum pressure and everything to put Iran in a corner, and force them to do a better deal, it completely backfired, and now it's a whole mess, and it gave you the opposite result. So thank you, Trump, for screwing everything as you usually do. Except there's only two things that I would give Trump credit for, but everything else is a goddamn giant mess. Thank you very much for that. But does that make sense? Like, I don't, music guy, what I'm saying is not certain, because even the Trump, even the Biden administration can't figure out what's happening right now. Okay, even Iranian people can't figure out what's happening. Everybody's guessing. But if I had to guess, why are they doing what they're doing? If I wanted to do calculations on game theory and figure out why are they behaving like this, that would be my guess, which could be completely wrong because I have no idea what's happening behind the scenes, like what talks are happening behind the scene, because it's not like they're being transparent about it, right? So do you think that this interpretation makes sense? Yeah, music guy saying, yeah, I got you. Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to end this really quick. Oh my God, made another jump. Okay, I'm going to really quickly give shorter answers so we could end this soon. Okay, good. You guys are just fighting with each other. Okay, this is another question. Oh yeah, the tiny hippo. I forgot about that guy. The tiny hippo in your butthole. Guys, go search for my video about the tiny hippo in your butthole. That completely explains Islamic reform, okay? If you want to understand Islamic reform, just search for, the video, the tiny hippo. Is that or is, is that the video? Oh my God, it's showing me actual hippos. Tiny hippo in butthole Islam? Would that give you the video? Amazing. None of the things that I searched for is giving me that video. YouTube search really betrayed us. Hippo. Hippo in your butthole? Nope, none of this is. Hippo, butthole, Islam. None of this is giving me the result that I want. Amazing. I don't know what to say. Oh, maybe Atheist Republic? No, even when I search for Atheist Republic, did we remove that video? I give up. I give up. Can't get the video. Can't get the hippo and butthole video. Anyways, if I could find it, that video explains Islamic reform better than anything else. Okay. If somebody finds that video, send me a link or something, or tell me at least what the title is, so I could tell people what to search for. Oh wow, Matthew found the information. During the Ottoman Empire, the law no longer contained any explicit articles criminalizing homosexuality in 1858 as part of a wider reforms during the... Wow! Okay, I did not know this. Interesting. All right, guys, no more questions, please. I need to finish this. Any Muslim conspiracy theories encountered in real life? Mine was entering a class and many Muslim professor had drawn the Twin Tower. Oh, yes, on board and saying the planes were empty. No, not that one. But the conspiracy theory that we got in Iran when I was in Iran was this: there's a Quranic verse that predicted it from happening. And people look, this is Quran, Surah number 11. And if you look at this is 9. And look, I don't know. I don't remember what it was, but there was a teacher showing on the board how, playing some number games with the Quran, and the Quranic verse was about like attacking the non-believers. So people are like, oh my God, look, this Quranic verse was about attacking non-believers. And this is like 11 and this is 9. Like this Quranic verse was like predicting that. That's what I remember in school in Iran. Oh, you're saying you're right about Brahma. It's not a real person, but a fairy tale, but people consider him God. Yeah, but Muhammad's story is also a fairy tale. None of the things in hadith are proven. I mean, very few of them are historic. So Muhammad's life is also a fairy tale. Okay, I'm going to end this soon. All right. I'm going to end this here. Music guy saying, I was thinking maybe they can't let this go because they'll be even more unpopular. They need to go back to the pre-2015 and to satisfy the people. Actually, music guy, this is very interesting. The problem with the audience at home when it comes to the nuclear deal is very complicated. Like I could do an entire stream on this. They are desperate. The people, the government knows that if the sanctions continue, they will be strapped for cash a lot. Okay, but this current government in Iran, the audience for it is mostly the hardliners, because among the non-hardliners, it's not the main the audience that they appeal to. The problem that they have is that they technically want to go back to the deal, but they have spent the past 4 years crapping on Rouhani for going to this deal and not being stronger against the United States and telling everybody that this deal was a horrible idea, that you should not be negotiating with the United States. And now they're in power and they need to go back to this deal, but they have consistently told everybody that we do not negotiate with the United States. So now instead of like not negotiating with the United States, they have to like come up with this symbolic ways of not negotiating with the United States. Like, okay, we're not going to meet with them face to face, but somebody else is negotiating with us, because they told everybody that we're not going to be negotiating with them, right? But now they're in power, and having a deal with the United States is very unpopular among the audience that they appeal to. So they have to take a very tough stance against the United States, but they also want to go to this deal. So they have to play it's really hard to play this game and to dance this dance. So that's why the whole thing is very complicated for the hardliners right now. A lot of the hardline, like you can actually tell, like in the Iranian media, you can see that even in the media owned by the hardliners, they're trying to start telling the hardliners that we kind of need a deal because you can see that they're putting stats out there that what would Iran's economy look like with or without the deals, and comparing it in the future. They're not saying the deals are going to be good, but they're trying to like ease the hardliner into like, we kind of need a deal. And you could also see on the other side a lot of hardliners that are very loyal to Islamic Republic. Some of them are now complaining about, why are we talking about having a deal? Like, didn't we put you in power so that we don't negotiate with the United States? So some of them are actually starting to complain and push back. There were even some mullahs, some imams openly on the pulpit speaking about how we kind of need to have better relationships with other countries. Like they're kind of like, it's not coming from higher, like, so whenever the higher officials want to like convince the hardliners in Iran that some things are necessary, instead of saying it themselves and meeting the backlash themselves, they get some lower people to maybe like whisper it a little bit and see what the reaction is going to be. And the reaction right now has been hostile. So some imams have been going to the mosques and stuff, and at the Friday prayers have said like, we need to like ease up and have relationships with the rest of the world. And the reaction, it was like, you're now speaking like the Rouhani regime. You're like speaking like one of those goddamn dirty reformists that we just kicked out of the government, you dirty reformer. We didn't expect this from a Friday prayer. You have been picked by the Khamenei. This is not you. Are you a dirty reformer? So this is the stuff that's happened. Anyways, okay. Yeah, I mean, that's what's been going on. Anyways, this was fun. Thank you guys for asking interesting questions. And yeah, I'm gonna. Oh, guys, make sure you like this video and make sure you share it with as many people as you can. Really helps us. It does. Please do it. And I'm also starting to think about making more edited videos to like 10-minute segments of different things that I want to maybe share. I don't know. I'm gonna try it on Atheist Republic, and if it works at some point, I'm gonna do here on Secular Jihadists as well. So that will take a lot more time and effort. So to help all that effort make any sense, please help us grow this channel. It only takes you a like, and it doesn't cost you only half a second to like this video, but it's so helpful. Like the algorithm is like, it's a YouTube gods just like, ooh, give me likes, okay? So you guys, as much as we complain about the YouTube gods, the good thing we can say is that they don't demand human sacrifice, right? Like, I'm not asking you for human sacrifice for our channel to grow. So unlike the other gods, like the Mayan gods, they just ask you to hit the like button, okay? So just give them what they want. Appeasing these gods are not that difficult. So just do it, okay? Just rub it until it gets wet, okay? And then when it gets wet, it means that you've done a good job. Oh, thank you, Pashtun ethno-nationalist saying enjoyed the show. Pashtun ethno-nationalist. One day we'll make you a Pashtun humanist rather than a Pashtun ethno-nationalist, okay? One day. But thank you for the compliment. All right. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day, night, or whatever. Bye.